So PENGASSAN, the Petroleum and Natural Gas Senior Staff Association of Nigeria, has reacted to President Bola Ahmed Tinubu executive order signed on February 13, 2026. In their own words, not mine. They called it a direct attack on the Petroleum Industry Act. They said it is a dangerous precedent and that an executive decision cannot override legislation. Now, let us recap what the executive order entails. And if you want more of this, you can visit my previous video on that. The executive order did something very specific. First and foremost, it eliminates NNPC Limited's ability to deduct, which is a 30% management fee from profit oil and profit gas, and also a separate 30% allocation for Frontier Exploration Fund. So if you want to know details of all that, you can visit my video. And it's directed that all those revenues now go straight into the Federation account. So PENGASSAN is now saying, arguing the executive order, that it clashes with the Petroleum Industry Act, PIA, which is the law governing Nigeria's oil and gas sector since 2021. Now, to understand the conflict, under the Petroleum Industry Act, NNPC Limited operates as a commercial entity, not a traditional government parastatal. That distinction matters because as a commercial national oil company, NNPC is expected to fund its operation, also to maintain assets. NNPC is expected to invest in exploration, finance infrastructure, and cover technical and administrative costs without having to go back to the government for help. So their core argument is constitutional and legal, saying that an executive order is not above an act of the National Assembly. So in simple terms, NNPC is saying you cannot use presidential directive to quietly rewrite an existing law. If you have to do that, then you have to make changes and amend the Petroleum Industry Act. So PENGASSAN warns that this move could frighten investors and could create uncertainty because when there is policy instability, many investors may hesitate to invest due to the fact that oil and gas investments are long-term and companies commit billions of dollars based on stable laws, based on fiscal terms that is predictable if they have the clear framework. But when the rules suddenly shift, investors may hesitate. So with the executive order, the 30% management deductions are gone. But the order did not also introduce any new provision to replace the funding. No transition buffer. Instead, what the government is saying is that NNPC Limited should rely on the existing 20% profit retention already written in the Petroleum Industry Act. And this is where the tension lies because it is the same Petroleum Industry Act that allows the deduction, which the executive order has now cancelled. So naturally, PENGASSAN's concern becomes clearer. From their perspective, money has been removed, but no new safety net has been added, which means operations may tighten. And this comes the most alarming claim. PENGASSAN claims that over 4,000 workers, mainly within NNPC Limited, could face risk. What risk? Because if NNPC revenue retention model changes, funding for projects, for exploration, infrastructure, and all that may also shrink. And so less funding often translates to restructuring. And when you hear the word restructuring, it means people are about to lose their jobs. So what we are witnessing is not just policy disagreement. It is a test of governance structure, how executive power interacts with legislative authority. So if the government believes that the Petroleum Industry Act needs adjustments, the sustainable path is legislative amendment. And if transparency is the goal, then stakeholders' engagement is very important because in sectors as sensitive as oil and gas, stability is not optional. Stability is everything. It is the truth at the time. Take care and have a nice day.